Alrighty, so the final game of match week number 6 is in the books, and if you like goals, today was not the day for you because there was only 2 goals that was scored in these 2 games, although one of them was certainly a goal that is as rare as you will ever see happen, and certainly going to be a candidate, if not going to win goal of the week for this week. But let us actually get to the first game, which is Charlotte versus Atlanta United, where in the end, Charlotte was able to avenge their loss that they had against Atlanta a couple of weeks ago by getting a 1-0 win. Now, in the first half, unsurprisingly, I thought there was going to be a lot of Atlanta United fans in that stands, and, I definitely saw a lot of black and red and even some five-stripe jersey in that Bank of America crowd, but there was, I would say, about 50-50 Atlanta and Charlotte fan there. And in the 3rd minute, it looked like their away fans got something to celebrate, but Dwyer hits one straight to Kalina. And then I thought Atlanta was in control early into this game, though Charlotte, they maybe fooled Atlanta a little bit thinking that they were in control in the first 5 minutes, because they definitely woke up after that slow start to this game. Franco missed just wide on the header, and I want to reiterate that this is Alan Franco from Charlotte, because you could say that, this is also kind of the Alan Franco derby, because we have 2 Alan Franco, one that plays for Atlanta United and one for Charlotte, but I definitely know that in this case, it's Alan Franco from Charlotte that missed just wide on the header. And then 3 minutes later, we got ourselves the opening goal of the game, and this was the goal that I talk about of as rare as you will ever see happen to happen in a game, and also definitely a candidate if not going to win goal of the week, as Alcivar would not only score a goal, but he scored an Olympic goal. Now, I will say this, Guzan should have done better in this. Like, I don't know what exactly the vertical jump is, Guzan, but it must not be very good, because the way that he kind of, he did try to fingertip that one over the bar, but it just feels like either he just mistimed his jump, or the fact that he didn't know that ball was curling, and he think that he can just do a little bunny hop and he can just easily push that one over the bar. But it didn't happen. That one went to the back net. It was a Olympico, and yeah, that gives Charlotte a 1-0 lead. And somewhere, if Harris Medunia is watching this game, he must be proud of what Alcivar did, because Harris Medunia was also another player that, before Alcivar scored this Olympico goal, he was the last player in MLS to score Olympico in an MLS game. Bank of America Stadium is definitely rocking. Well, at least 50% of it was rocking, because, like I said, there was a lot of Atlanta United fans. Although I would say that some Atlanta fans are probably shocked to see that goal too, because seeing an Olympico goal is literally as rare as it gets. Like, I think they mentioned, was it John Champion or Taylor 12 mentioned that it's like a hole in one in soccer, and it kind of is, because it just does not happen often, if ever happen in any of these MLS games. But just a couple of minutes later, Guzan did kind of redeem himself a little bit by denying Rios from close range. The momentum was all with Charlotte. Like I said, Charlotte basically fooled Atlanta thinking that they were going to have an easy in this game by getting off to a slow start, but immediately they took control after that slow start, and as I mentioned, they also got a goal. Though Dwyer did went through on goal, but missed wide from close range before Kalina did deny Moreno in the 32nd minute, and Atlanta started to kind of show some pushback and trying to get an equalizer near the end of the first half, but we do head to halftime with Charlotte holding on to a 1-0 lead. In the second half, Amada hits one straight to Kalina before Bender lashed one wide from close range. And then on the other end, Moreno tried to hit one from long range, but it goes straight to Kalina. And, both of these teams definitely had a couple of half chances in the beginning of the second half, but nothing really troubled either of these goalkeeper. Robinson then drives one wide from long range before Ibarra fires one wide from long range just 2 minutes later. And I thought Atlanta was taking way too many low percentage shots. I mean, I get it, there wasn't really a lot of space to work in that Charlotte box, and I thought Charlotte did a good job in terms of limiting any chances for Atlanta to kind of play the through ball into the box and have their player to basically strike it inside the box and basically keep them out of the 18-yard box and just kind of taking low percentage shots. But if you're Atlanta, they just didn't move the ball enough in that. Again, when you take these low percentage of shot. I mean, it would be good in terms of the stat line, but at the end of the day, when you take too many of those low percentage shots, you're trying to get a goal, you're most likely not going to find it. They also announced the attendance: 32,796 fans attended this game, which is the second highest after when Charlotte did go full bowl for their first ever game. I feel like in this game they probably could have gone full bowl in this one, because like I said, when you have Atlanta United come into town, and it seems like the league is really trying to force this to be a rivalry. I was maybe thinking that Charlotte might go full bowl in this game and might open up the stadium, but they did only open the lower bowl, and the lower bowl was pretty much filled up. I mean, except for the premium area in the front row, most of the stands at Bank of America Stadium in the lower bowl was completely filled. There was a huge shout for a penalty for Charlotte, as they felt like there was a handball in the box in the 73rd minute, but it wasn't given. Amada then puts one into the stands from 24 yards down the free kick, and as the time winds down, Atlanta continue to pile on the pressure and trying to search for the equalizer. Amada fires one wide from long range. I mean, Amada, I know he has scored a goal so far for Atlanta, but he's been kind of underwhelmed. I mean, ever since he has joined this team, and I still think that it is still too early to say that $16 million price tag that Atlanta paid to get him is going to turn out to be a bust. But with the performance that he's been performing, it has not looked anywhere close to be the $16 million that Atlanta pays. And this has also been the issue for Atlanta in these last couple of years, where yes, we know that they're ambitious and we know that they want to flex their muscle in terms of breaking the transfer record and spend some money. But there's one thing to spend money, but there's also the other of spending wisely. And so far, when you look at some of these big money signing that Atlanta has got, especially kind of continue this formula of going down to South America and find these hidden gems to develop them before sell them off, they really haven't had a lot of success in terms of it. I mean, besides Miguel Almiron and in some extent Ezekiel Barco, they just have really struggled in terms of trying to develop these young South American players when they buy them for a huge amount of money and then eventually sell them off to Europe. Like, as I mentioned, even their recent big money signing, Pity Martinez, they didn't even make anything after they decided to sell him off to a Middle Eastern team. And they were kind of fortunate that they actually were able to break even, because it looked like nobody was going to think about signing Pity Martinez, and Atlanta was actually going to lose money in terms of that kind of philosophy where they develop players to sell them for a positive gain. And in the 80th minute, Kalina did deny Moreno in the front post before Gaines on the other end fires one wide from long range. But yeah, that was pretty much it. As Atlanta did try to push for the late equalizer, but Charlotte did a relatively good job and wasn't really pressured that much in the latter bit from Atlanta to trying to hold on to the 1-0 victory, which in the end they were able to do so in this game. And the shots in this one: 15 shots compared to 16 that Atlanta has, 4 shots on goal compared to 6 that Atlanta has, 7 shots off target compared to 8 that Atlanta has, 4 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that Atlanta has, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that Atlanta has in this game. And yeah, for Charlotte, their third win so far in the last, I think, 4 games now, and the expansion life for them in MLS has definitely started to get off to a great start. I mean, when you look at the record that they have, it might not be good for a team to start season, but for an expansion team, that is a really good record. And consider in the beginning of the season when we thought that this team was completely screw, and the fact that it looked like they were on point to win the Wooden Spoon this season, it's been an amazing start for the Charlotte team, and let's see if they can continue for these next couple of games. But now moving on, in terms of the last game of week number 6, is Austin versus Minnesota. So, when I wear my Verdes, that means Austin, of course, get the victory, and that, of course, is exactly what happened in this one. And I'm not even surprised, because, I did say in the preview, I was not confident coming into this game that the Loons were going to get something out of this. I mean, I know some Loons fans say that after that poor performance against Seattle, they need to get something next week against Austin. But knowing the fact that Austin has been a good team to, at least in the beginning part of the season. And also my biggest issue of why even with the decent start that Minnesota has got themselves off to, I was still concerned about how in the world is this attack going to avenge it. How is this attack eventually going to break out this funk that is going to really hold back this team? And it turns out that question is still not answered. In fact, it feels like every single week it's just gotten worse with the way how that attack and that final third look throughout the game. But in the first half, not much happening in the first 10 minutes, as it looked like both of these teams just feeling each other out. In fact, if you missed the first half of this game, you didn't miss much, because there was basically nothing happened in the first half. Like, I rarely wrote any notes to just kind of cover what happened in the first half by saying that there was a lot of possession for Austin, but, it seems like they couldn't do anything, and, the Loons couldn't do anything going on the other end, even when they were sitting deep and at times kind of getting pinned deep and trying to go on the counterattack. And 24 minutes in, still 0 shots in the entire game. I mean, it was just so many sloppy mistakes from both of these teams that, if you're a supporter of one of these teams, it's frustrated. But if you're a neutral of one of these teams, it's even more frustrating, because you are expected to be treated to kind of like an El Tráfico level of game. Which, by the way, if you thought that this game was going to be equaling the level of El Tráfico, then yeah, you probably have not watched MLS long enough, where, El Tráfico is really the pinnacle of a game that has all the chaos and all the madness that's happened. But you're not going to get that every single game. But even then, in terms of a game that is still considered an entertaining national televised game, the first half was anything but that. I mean, it was really tough to watch for pretty much everyone that is involved in it. The first shot of the game came in the 25th minute when Le puts it wide from 22 yards out. And I thought the break in the first half from Minnesota has been their main attacking option. But as always, they lack the final third. And in the 36th minute, the first shot for Austin came as Ring missed badly from a long-range shot. And yeah, that was really the last action of the first half. Like I said, there literally nothing happened in that first half. So let's get into the second half, where there was actually more action that happened. Ring blasted high as the flag, of course, went up. And then on the other end, Stuver was able to deny Rosales, and that was actually the game's first shot on goal. Ruti then on the other end blasted high. There was more chance in these first 8 minutes compared to the entire part of the first half. Maria then blast one high from close range, and I thought the Loons did kind of start the second half the better side, but I'm pretty sure Austin probably saw me write that and they took it personally, because just 1 minute later after I wrote that, Austin would take the lead. It's Urruti scoring from Jimenez to give Austin a 1-0 lead. Now, I will say this, I didn't appreciate the fact that Urruti kind of went down with an injury, and then immediately when the ball came to him, he just got up and basically scored that. And, that's... I mean, I want to say that's something that maybe the league might have to look into, or especially this is kind of the gray area where in the rule book where you don't really need to stop a play when there is an injury that has happened, unless if it's a head injury, and in that case Ruti clearly did not suffer a head injury. But then there's also times where you can definitely see that players can take a advantage of that, and that it seems like Urruti kind of took advantage of it. Though I will say that this is still bad defending from Minnesota, and especially the way that attack started. It started with a WTF turnover from Will Trapp. I mean, giving the ball away carelessly in his own half, and then I know Urruti was down on the ground, but somebody's still gonna have to keep close, because in case if that ball does come toward him, he might think about just getting himself back on his feet and trying to strike it, which is exactly what he did in this area. And although again, it feels very, very, very cruel, and just feels wrong, the fact that when you have an injured player went down and then he immediately get back up when he has a goal scoring chance. There's no rule that says that you can't do that, and that's why I said it's kind of like one of the gray area in terms of sometimes teams can take advantage of it, unless if the league is going to change the rule or FIFA decide to amend the rule, which I won't be surprised they could do so, because nowadays FIFA have make up so many of these new rules that even some of these new rules are not implemented But yeah. Either way, that gives Austin a 1-0 lead. There was a shout for a penalty for Austin not giving in the 61st minute, but there was no doubt the momentum was with the Verdes and the Loons. They looked like they were lost and completely rattled. There was some tempers flared between both teams in the 65th minute before Lima had a looping header that goes wide. Reynoso then tried to curl one in, but missed wide. It was another poor game for Reynoso. I mean, it's getting to a point where how much longer before he has left when Heath decided that he needs to be benched, because this is just like this is probably the worst performance I've seen Reynoso play this season, and that's to just say it lightly, because there's been a lot of bad performance that Reynoso has had, but in this game, every time he touches the ball, he just give the ball away. Like it's almost like he is purposely trying to give the ball away at time, and even with some of his free kick delivery, which was supposed to be his trademark, and he does nothing with it. Like he either overhits it or he tried to do something thing out of the ordinary and gets it completely wrong. I mean, when is exactly the time when we'll maybe finally start to have the discussion that Reynoso should be benched? And it's crazy the fact that I have to mention that. I mean, if I mentioned that maybe last season, there's going to be a lot of Loons fans that's going to get into my case. But with how bad he's been performing this season, you got to say that there's going to be a line where maybe Reynoso might have to be dropped to the bench. And if we know one thing about Adrian Heath, is that he is not afraid to put players on the bench, and especially put players in his doghouse. And that, I think the only reason why Reynoso is still starting is because he hasn't exactly gone on the Adrian Heath bad side. And I know the media have always said that Reynoso is still good and stuff like that, and it would be crazy for the Loons to bench him. But from what I've seen this season, you can't tell me how he is not getting close to that point where he is going to eventually get benched, because he's been a huge liability for this team, and once again was the case in this one too. Boxall then clear Urruti's chip off the line. I mean, really, the only good performance from this game from the Loons was the back line, which is not a big surprise, because this back line is the only reason why this team is making this team look like a decent team this season. The Loons were trying to push to get the equalizer, while Austin was looking to counter and try to score the second. And I say push lightly, because they rarely did anything, and Austin was just finding so much enjoyment whenever they go on the break. Dane Sinclair then denied Jerussi, and on the follow-up, Ring was trying to look to bicycle get in, but he hits that one. Then there was a goal line clearance for Fagundes on a header from one of the Minnesota players. They didn't mention who exactly is, and I couldn't really quite tell who exactly hits it. It might have been Bongi that hit that one in, and if that was the case, that would have been his first career MLS goal. But yeah, Fagundes with some goal line clearance there to deny the Loons an equalizer. And really, as the time winds down, it looked like the Loons just gave up. Like, that stoppage time, I was hoping that they can continue to push, but it just looked like they just gave up, and that Austin was just finding so much freedom and finds it easy to milk the clock. And that's, I think, is got to be the most frustrating thing, because I get it. It's frustrating for this team to not really do things throughout the game, but to just simply give up like that in the last 5 minutes, oh boy. I mean, I don't know what to say about this team, other than I am just hoping eventually they figure this out, and that is they're getting to a point where maybe in the summer transfer window, the front office is going to have to think about replacing some of these guys on the attack, because clearly last season I said that this attack that the front office built, there's definitely talent in it, but I thought they were underachieving. And that I thought maybe this season they'll turn things around, because it's a new season. They have not turned things around. And it just gets to a point where how long before we are going to see the front office maybe even think about nuking this attacking core, because it's just not working right now, and maybe have to start from scratch again. But either way, Austin was able to get the 1-0 victory, and the shots in this one, 11 shots compared to 9 that Minnesota has, 5 shots on goal compared to 3 that Minnesota has, 5 shots off target compared to 4 that Minnesota has, 1 shot that was blocked for the 2 that the Loons had, and possession-wise, Austin had the better of the possession, 58% possession compared to just 42% possession that Minnesota has. And, you know, for Austin, it's a good bounce-back win, and a win that they desperately needed because, you know, Josh Wolf have mentioned many times that this is a team that if they're going to make it to the playoffs, they need to win their home games because they know that they don't do well on the road. So that means that now it's on them to try to win the home games. And, you know, with them getting wins at 3 out of their first 4 games at home and still have yet to lose at home, so far their progress of making to the playoffs is definitely off to a decent start. But for Minnesota, again, unless this attack doesn't figure things out, I don't think this team is going to make the playoffs. Like, I almost feel sorry for this defense because this defense is really the only reason why it's keeping this team at least with some decency. But, you know, there's one thing that when a defense play well, and that really it can only go as far with the defense playing well until it finally doesn't work out because they just cannot score goals. And that, you know, the old cliche is if you don't score goals, you don't win games, and that's exactly the problem that Minnesota is having right now. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of both of these games. Like I said, you know, if you like goals, these 2 games were definitely not for you to watch. But at least I will say that besides the first half of these games, both of these games were relatively entertaining to watch, even with the lack of goals that was scored in terms of the Sunday action. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of both of these games. And yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.